Good morning. Okay, so my previous projects, two projects, I am willing to explain. Is that fine? So previously I was working for Amdocs Development Center on the payroll of Survix Software Private Limited. So there we had 7,000 applications which belong to AT&T. So 4,000 of them were supposed to be migrated to Azure Cloud. So the contract was distributed between 5 companies. So one was Amdocs, one was Accenture, IBM, Microsoft, and one other. So I was working for Amdocs. So my task was to migrate all those applications from on-prem to Azure Cloud for the production environment. So it started from the onboarding of the application. My task was to do the onboarding, which was an automated process, and after that the automation onboarding was done. The two environments used to already be created in Azure Cloud, and after that my task was to create the resource 3 environment. One was POC, one was non-prod, and one was prod, and according to the target architecture which was given by the architecture team. So that was my one project. Another project was BSSE project, in which was a internal project of Amdocs. So in that project, every day we had a meeting with the QE team, and they used to push the code in the Nexus repository. From there they were supposed to be pulled to the Bitbucket, and according to our requirements we had to change the code and deploy it using Jenkins. So Jenkins we used to manually trigger the Jenkins build. One was in the morning and one was in the afternoon. So that's for my project. And previously I was working with KMG IT services. So they had their several clients which had introduced cloud work there. So my task was I used to go there on the deputation and work with the cloud teams as and when required. In KMG I used to mainly use AWS, and in Amdocs I used to use Azure. But in Azure I didn't have the full access in Amdocs. All the resources like basically we used to do the Terraform for the deployment of the resources. So various files were there. Not a single file was made. So like databases and load balancers and recovery service vaults and VMs. So all those files were there, and I used to make the code and push that code to the Azure and create the resources. And after that respective people used to continue from there. Say for example, if I talk about the databases, so we had a database administrator who used to migrate the databases from on-prem to cloud. So the respective people continued from there after the infrastructure was created. So as of now I am willing to move to AWS. I want to work with Azure, but I have a limited exposure to Azure. That's the thing. If I am given the chance, I will explore it fully. But in Amdocs, I had a limited exposure. That's all. So in Azure, creation of the VMs and the load balancers and all that. All the basic services I know. In Azure, basically the VNet peering, all the general stuff I am available. Particularly I am not able to say. Yes, Azure DevOps means I used to migrate applications to the Azure cloud and then run the pipeline. Specifically in core Azure DevOps I don't have much experience. Okay. Google Cloud Platform. I mean, those are Google Cloud proprietary. Yes. Mhm. So to be very frank, cloud to cloud migrations I have not done, but I will use some logic. So I mean the parallel services which we will use. So let's assume that in AWS we use CloudFormation for infrastructure as code. So uh, in Azure we will use ARM templates. So all the parallel services which will be used, since those are proprietary vendor proprietary services, so we will have to create that infra all over again, because as far as my knowledge is there, cloud to cloud compatibility is not there. Yes, working knowledge of Kubernetes. I mean, theoretical and a bit of a working and troubleshooting experience, because my PSSC project was deployed in Kubernetes only. So there, if I faced any problem, so I used to do the troubleshooting, and if it was too difficult, then I used to pull my seniors. Mhm. So basically the registry where all the stuff is located, it is not able to access, so there is some connectivity issue, or some there are some port related issues which are not allowing to move that registry to the AWS. So first of all, we will check basically if there is any blocking on the gateways, etc., and if there is any port related issues and the network related issues. So those kind of stuff will check, and other than that there might be a compatibility issues, so we will check that. So we will can create a buffer zone, and then move that registry for a hit and trial basis. Move that registry to a buffer area, and then try to move on the AWS cloud. So these 2-3 steps we can start with. So we increase and decrease the replicas. I mean, replica means the number of nodes. So let's say if we want to increase the replica, so I don't remember right now the command. So we will use the create replica command is equals to 5 according to our requirement. Hmm. Yeah, architecture of Kubernetes is there. One is the master and one is the node. So in the master we have etc and controller, scheduler, API server, and all those things. And in the nodes we have pods. So in the pods, I mean the collection of nodes is altogether known as the cluster. Inside the cluster we have nodes. Inside the nodes we have pods. Inside the pods we have containers, and inside the containers we have the application running. And as per the recommendation, we should have one container in one pod, but we can have multiple containers also. Hmm. So API server is the server which acts as an intermediate between command line and the engine master. So I mean the interface between the person who is giving the commands and the daemon sets. So that is known as the API server. So for that we have a node port facility. There are Kubernetes services. So one is cluster IP, one is node port, and one is load balancer. So to access the outside world, as per my knowledge, node port is used. By assigning the ports, whole life cycle. So if we have to expose one port, say one port is 80 and other one is some random port. So whenever a user is requesting any data, so it will via port mapping, it will be, the application will be accessed. No, in that interrupt I don't have idea. Database, I have not done that. Sorry. So in the Azure dashboard, we have a repository. I mean, in MDocs, when I was doing the ADO onboarding, so we used to the POC and the environments were used to be already created. So a repository was created. So we used to pull the code from there and then do the modification and then push the code back here. Yes. So automatically it was not required. So for that we can use Jenkins. So first of all we will install the Jenkins in the Linux server, and then various services like there are Maven and is there, Ant is there, or we can write the Groovy script and Shell script and Docker. So using that we can do the automations. But what we did was I used to write a code in the Terraform, and then using it I used to push the code in the Azure repository. No, I don't have any question. Okay, thank you, sir.